What's up, guys? Intellitech Studios here, and wow, already failed out of the gate. Today we'll be doing a video experiment. Now, a couple years ago, in fact a few years ago at this point, I did an experiment with the Shark Navigator Liftaway NV352, and that video was called, "Can a $50 vacuum outperform a $150 vacuum?" That technically has aged a little bit with inflation. Now it's, can a $60 vacuum outperform a $180 vacuum? But the point still stands. The idea was that the Shark machine, despite the fact that it is generally considered to be more high-tech and a very good performer on carpets by general consumers, the more budget offering was able to outperform it on carpets. And we're going to be doing another version of this experiment, as I just recently got the updated Navigator Liftaway ADV, or Advanced, depending on how you pronounce it, the newer version of the previous NV352, but still the same type of machine in its product class, where it has the standard brush roll, no dual clean, no anti-tangle technology, no power fins, just a basic stiff bristled brush roll. And it's brand new. I literally have used this 2 or 3 times in my home, if that. It's still well within the wear period. And this machine has collected a lot of hair on the brush roll, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that the bristles are still in good shape. All the motors are still in good shape. Again, you can tell this thing has been used barely any at all. It has very little scratches. In fact, I'm going to turn on some more light so you can see this a bit more clearly. There we go. We can see the brush roll on this is still in excellent condition, still stiff. The machine's still brand new. I mean, that's all there is to say. There's no reason why this machine shouldn't be able to outperform, or at least match, anything in its price class. This is all the dirt that's in the bin. There's very little dirt in the bin. There's already a little bit of dust on the filter, but obviously the majority of the filter is still uncovered, so it should be fine. And of course, the post-motor filter is in place. So the question will be, can I vacuum my entire living room and my walkway? And then, can this machine, this googly-eyed machine from 24 years ago, again, brand new machine, just unboxed, versus a machine that is 24 years old and has 24 years of wear on the motor, 24 years of wear on the brush roll, about 6 months of wear on the rubber stretch belt, and about an equivalent amount of wear on the HEPA filter, the only filter on the machine. Both these machines have a lot in common, believe it or not. They both are related to each other in some ways, as whenever the Phantom company went bankrupt, Shark, or the company that at the time was known as Europro, but eventually became Shark Ninja, bought the rights to the Phantom name and began selling Phantom branded products, but those eventually morphed into Shark and Infinity. So these machines are related in some ways. So given the fact this machine is essentially in some ways an evolution of this machine, it should be able to easily outperform it, right? I mean, there's 23 years of technology between these two machines. Arguably more, because this machine first came out in 1996. And this machine only came out, what, last year? So this should easily be able to outperform this. So, without further ado, we're going to run this machine on all of my carpets. And again, the point isn't necessarily to see what this picked up, but we will comment on that. And then we're going to run the Phantom and see if the Fury can grab anything that the Navigator left behind. Now, technically speaking, it's likely going to grab something. That's just generally how it works. But the question is, how much stuff will it get? Will this machine do well, or will it actually leave a lot of fine dust and sand and grit in the carpets that this 23-year-old machine will have to extract, despite the fact that this machine is much newer? Let's see and find out. So we're going to run the Shark first, then run the Phantom right after, and see what the results are. There's going to be no cuts between the two machines running and us looking at and seeing what's inside the bins. The only cuts are going to be in between the two shots. So, without further ado, we're going to run the Shark. Again, there is some debris that's on the floor from the last couple days, but again, that's not really what we're measuring. We're measuring to see what it leaves behind in the carpets. We're going to make sure it's on the actual carpet mode, and go from there. It's also on the suction max mode, that's worth noting. Okay, so the filter looks no different. And the bin, I don't really notice, and there's a little bit of the, obviously the coarse debris I vacuumed up. There's not really much more in terms of fine dust. There's a little bit more towards the bottom right here. And there's a little bit at the bottom of the cup, to be fair. It did better than I expected, to its credit. But I also noticed the carpet's kind of like matted unevenly, which is quite strange. You can see like knots on the carpet where it's like matted down in some spots and then artificially fluffed up in others, and it's very uneven and patchy looking, which is, at least on my relatively uneven floors, doesn't look very well. You can even see there's like a little spot right there that I'm mentioning, little blob right there. Might be kind of hard to see on my dark carpets, but it's something that you notice in person at least. At least I do. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see how this performed. But let's move on to the Fury and see how well that does. I will attempt to use it at the same speed, but given that the machines do handle very differently, it's a little bit more difficult to control, but I'll try to use the Phantom as quickly as I did this one to keep the test fair. Alright, so the Shark is done. Now we'll test the Phantom. And since this is the one we're primarily testing, I'll make sure to show there is nothing in the bin. Nothing in there. Nothing. So it's important to note, because obviously we're trying to see what, if any, this machine picks up. So that is important to show. And I will admit, trying to get this bin on with one hand isn't exactly the easiest thing in the world, so a bit of a knock against this machine in particular. But again, this machine originally came out in 1996, for reference. Now we do have this on the low setting, since that's the one that I find to adjust the best for this carpet. Most machines adjust on the medium setting, but on this particular machine, the height adjustment sits a little bit high artificially, so I do have to adjust it down a bit. This is not an option on the Shark, as it has an automatic adjustment, so theoretically it should be at its lowest setting all the time anyways, so it's a more fair comparison. Alright. So, again, no cuts. Exactly. Yes, I know this. It is squeaky. I keep forgetting to address the squeakiness on this, so apologies for that. But you saw I ran over the same areas I did with the shark. I do notice the carpet's a little bit more evenly groomed, although there was a couple spots where I had to stop. Over here I had to stop to grab the cord, so I laid the machine down so it wouldn't sit in that one spot and groom unevenly. But yeah, so I'm going to open this up. Now this does kind of tend to spill dust when you open it. So you can see there is some dust that spilled out, and there is a good amount of fine dust on the bin gasket. And if we look, see there's a good amount of hair and a lot of fine dust. Not a little bit. See, if it was a little bit, that'd be one thing, but that is indeed a lot. At least from what I can gather. I'm not going to tell you what to think, obviously. But I'm going to grab... Now, again, you saw this, so you can tell I didn't doctor this. So that's what that looks like at this moment. And I'm going to try to find something that I can dump this on and visualize what all this got the shark left behind. Alright, so I've got just a basic white piece of printer paper, and I'm just going to tap this out. Make sure there's nothing left. Try not to, might be a little bit extra. So you see there's still a little bit extra in the bin. Yeah. So, let's take this back and take a look and see. Now, I don't like to touch dirt usually, but this is... From this small area, you saw exactly all that I used, and you can see there's a good amount of hair. And here's what's most important, because here's the thing. Hair is one thing. Yes, it's inconvenient when you have pets and their pet hair is all over everything. But this is what's really important, is the fine dust and the grit. This is the stuff that gets kicked up into your air. This is the stuff that gets trapped deep within your carpets. This is the stuff where it gets kicked up in the air when you walk on it, especially if you have bare floors, but even more so, but also if you have carpets. And this is all the stuff you can feel. Like, obviously you can't feel it because you're not seeing, but you can see there's grit. It's actually gritty. It's sand-like. It's not even just fine dust. This is the type of stuff that's tearing. I don't know why my cats are being crackheads when I'm trying to do a video, but this is the stuff that's tearing away at your carpets. Now, a lot of people are quick to point out, rightfully so, that there are a lot of carpet manufacturers, at least now, for the record, I haven't fact-checked this, but to my knowledge at least, there are carpet installers and carpet manufacturers, more so, non-installers, who may disband your warranty on your carpeting if they find out you've been using a machine that's not certified for carpet cleaning. Now, here's the thing. The older Shark Navigator Liftaway Professional, the NV352, the NV356, and the NV360, I believe. The dark blue, the lavender purple, and the white models of Shark Navigator Liftaway from about a decade ago that are still available. At one point, those machines were certified by the Carpet and Rug Institute. They were given the lowest rating, yes, but they were at least somewhat certified. And I can confirm that this new Shark, the lift-away ADV, that's supposed to be new and improved, cleans significantly worse than those machines. And considering the fact that this machine is at minimum the same price, if not more expensive than those units, is just utterly ridiculous. You're getting a machine that cleans worse and has all the other flaws I mentioned in my first impressions video of the machine that I'll also parrot in my full review because it's relevant. The fact that it leaves very uneven carpet lines and cuts into your carpet despite not having enough agitation. The fact that it somehow doesn't have any agitation despite the fact that it has very stiff bristles because the brush head floats too high up off the carpet. The fact that the power switch shorts out and shoots sparks out of the power button on a brand new machine that just came out of the box. And finally, the fact that it's not doing its job. It's, Rocco, I'm doing a video. But the fact that this machine can't even do its basic diligence and keep your carpets clean. This is what you buy this model for, the ADV. Let me grab it. This machine, $219 on, $119 on sale. Normally around $200, $219 brand new when it's not on sale. Somewhere in that range. I forgot the exact price off the top of my head. Doesn't matter, it's too much. Even at $119, this machine is outperformed, not only as we established earlier a couple years ago with its better cleaning version, that it was outperformed, and with this model now drastically outperformed by a basic $60 Bissell, but it's also outperformed by a machine from 1996. A machine that Shark owns the rights to, and very easily could incorporate the technology of this machine into its current machines. It owns this design. It owns this brand. They've owned this brand since it went defunct. They could have done something to incorporate a better brush roll design into their machines. But they don't. And you know why? Because they don't need to. Because they're one of the most popular upright vacuum manufacturers in America, despite all of their flaws. And I'm going to do a separate video on why a lot of customers buy Sharks and why they're pulled in and convinced to buy them. And it's not me insulting anybody or me saying that their purchase was ill-advised or uninformed, because whether it is or not is not my decision to make. But at the end of the day, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. This is not a very deep pile carpet. I mean, it's like a medium-ish pile carpet. And this was a very small area. You can see the entire area in just the viewfinder of this camera. It's not a big room. And yet, this is all of this was left. All of this. By this machine that I just ran. This is ridiculous. Explain to me how this brand new machine couldn't get all this, or at least 98% of it. Because again, if there was only a little bit of this fine dust and one tiny little block of hair, then yeah, I would say the clean performance is pretty adequate. Because obviously, there might have been stuff in the carpet that this machine loosened but didn't get, and then this machine was able to get it the rest of the way. But that's a lot for just that category. I mean, again, I don't have a scale to measure this, but do I really need to measure it? Like, you can see how much is there. I really hate touching this stuff, but I have to kind of drive this point home. This was even worse than I imagined. Like, I expected this machine to do better. I expected this machine to slightly outperform the older models, because why else would they make a new version? If for no other reason, the fact that the suction is center-fed instead of side-fed like it is on the original units. So I maintain to this day If you must buy a shark, don't buy this one, buy the older model. But even the older model, I still don't think is an appropriate choice when you have other machines that will clean carpets better. And if your aim is to clean bare floors, there's much more inexpensive solutions out there than Shark's Duo Clean system, even if their system is nice in some ways. But this is, I did not expect this. I have not run this test before. I didn't expect this. You know, it's just disappointing, to say the least. There should not be this much left behind. When a brand new, normally $200 machine can't get what an old, beat-up machine that people throw away all the time should be somehow getting, that this machine can't get. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I'm all wrong. Maybe I'm somehow doing something incorrectly. And believe me, if there is something that you guys noticed that was off, please point it out in the comments below, because I want to make sure that this is a fair test. I'm not interested in selling you either one of these machines. I'm not interested in trying to peddle a narrative. I just want to see what the genuine results are, at least on my specific carpeting. So, yeah, it's funny because I've seen people do tests where they run Sharks and then run other machines over it, like the 0G or like, you know, a Dyson or something like that. And I'm relatively unimpressed with the amount of stuff that they get. It's like, oh, really? That's it? The Shark is this bad and that's all that it missed? But funnily enough, when I tried to recreate the results for myself, I got even worse results for the Shark than everybody else did. And I'm not trying to push this Shark, or, I mean, what am I trying to sell you a machine that hasn't been on the market for 25 years? Or, well, at this point, 23 years? Obviously not. So yeah, I think, again, I'm not gonna say that, even though I kind of just did, I'm not gonna tell you that it's a bad idea to spend this much on a machine that has this poor of results and leaves this much behind in a small section of carpet. But I think if you value your carpets being clean, and if you value this stuff not being stuck in your carpets after you spend time out of your day to vacuum, then maybe the Shark, or just any Shark, is probably not your best choice. And that's it. This is Intellitech Studios signing out. I hope you enjoyed this little experiment. First on the channel in quite a while. And I promise most of the videos in 2024 are going to be more positive than this. But I don't necessarily feel this is a negative video. I feel it's informative because, after all, I am reviewing this Shark, and I need to accurately gauge its performance levels to determine whether or not it gets a recommendation. And spoiler alert, it doesn't. Don't buy this. Anyways, this is Intellitech Studios signing out. So let me know your thoughts on this experiment and your thoughts on these machines in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you all have a good one. Peace.